Alright, let's talk about America. Yes, that America. The United States, the place with the eagles and the flags and the surprisingly passionate arguments about pineapple on pizza. It's often called the land of dreams. A place where anyone can make it big. Just pull up those bootstraps, they say, even if you don't have boots, or straps, or increasingly, a ladder that isn't missing several crucial rungs. It's a nice idea, isn't it? A beautiful, shiny, Hollywood-produced idea. But here's the thing. For every soaring dream, there's often a corresponding, well, let's call it a reality check. Or, if we're being less polite, a bit of a nightmare. It's like a theme park. Thrilling rides, sure. But also long lines, expensive snacks, and the occasional existential dread when you see the actual cost of it all. So, is America the shining city on a hill? Or is it more of a fixer-upper with some serious foundation issues? The truth, as it often annoyingly is complicated. It's both, and neither, all at once. This isn't about hating America or blindly loving it, for that matter. No, this is about looking at it. Really looking. Like when you finally clean your glasses and realize what you thought was a charming smudge is actually a crack. We need to see the whole picture. The good, the bad, and the things that make you say, wait, how does that even work? Because understanding this incredible, frustrating, inspiring, and sometimes baffling country means acknowledging all of it. So buckle up, we're going on a tour. We'll see some amazing sights, true triumphs of human spirit and ingenuity. We'll also peek into some rather dark corners, the bits they don't always put on the postcards, because America isn't just one thing. It's a giant, messy, beautiful, terrifying contradiction. And that in itself is part of its story. A story that, as of today, May 24th, 2025, is still very much being written, edited, and argued over. Loudly. Now, let's start with something America often gets very, very right: technology. Seriously, if innovation had a rock star, it would probably wear a hoodie, live in California, and talk a lot about disruption. We're talking about the digital revolution. The internet, largely an American-born beast. Those smartphones we're all addicted to, the big players, the operating systems, a huge chunk of that came from the U.S.A. It's transformed how we live, work, and argue with strangers online. Think about companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft, Amazon. These aren't just companies, they're global empires. They've created unimaginable wealth. They've connected billions of people. They've put the sum of human knowledge and cat videos at our fingertips. This is the shiny side of the American dream, digitized and downloadable. The sheer scale of technological advancement that is poured out of places like Silicon Valley is, frankly, astounding. It's a testament to a certain kind of ambition and a willingness to chase the next big thing. And it's not just about computers and phones. American tech innovation extends to aerospace. Think NASA putting people on the moon, sending rovers to Mars. That's some serious reach for the stars stuff, literally. Then there's biotechnology, pioneering new medicines and treatments. These are breakthroughs that change lives, save lives, and push the boundaries of what's possible. This is America, the inventor, the pioneer, the one that dares to ask what if, and then actually builds the answer. Of course, this tech utopia isn't without its own set of problems. We'll get to some of those later. Data privacy, job displacement, the rise of misinformation. Yes, those are big, hairy issues. But for a moment, let's just acknowledge the sheer power and creativity. The ability to dream up a new world and then code it into existence. That's a significant part of the American story. A very bright, often dazzling part. For better or worse, they've wired the planet. It's not just about the colossal tech giants, though. American innovation seeps into everyday life in ways we often take for granted. Think about it. From the humble microwave oven making your sad frozen dinner slightly less sad, to the development of mass production techniques that made cars affordable for ordinary families. These weren't just inventions, they were societal shifts. They changed how people lived, what they could achieve, and even how they saw themselves and their place in the world. Consider the agricultural revolution in America. New farming techniques, machinery, and scientific advancements dramatically increased food production. This fed the nation and much of the world. It also freed up a massive portion of the population to pursue other endeavors, fueling industrial growth and urbanization. That's innovation not just as a gadget, but as a fundamental change in the structure of society. It's less flashy than a new iPhone perhaps, but arguably just as impactful, if not more so. Then there's the spirit of entrepreneurship. The idea that if you have a good idea and work hard, you can build something. From the local coffee shop owner who roasts their own beans to the inventor tinkering in their garage, this drive is a powerful force. It leads to new products, new services, and new solutions to old problems. It's not always successful, of course. For every success story, there are countless almost and not quites. But the underlying belief in the power of a new idea is deeply ingrained. This innovative spirit also extends to entertainment. Hollywood, for instance. It's a global cultural force. American movies, music, and television shows are consumed worldwide, shaping perceptions and sparking conversations. Jazz, blues, rock and roll, hip-hop, these are American art forms that have had a profound global impact. This creative output is another facet of that restless, inventive American character, always seeking the new, the next, the different. It's a powerful engine for change, for good, and sometimes for, well, a lot of sequels. Alright, let's shift gears. America's story isn't just about gadgets and gizmos, it's also a story of struggle. A long, hard, and often brutal fight for rights, civil rights. Now this is where the land of the free promise gets seriously tested. Because for a huge portion of its history, America was decidedly not free for everyone. Not even close. The nation was built on ideals of liberty, yet simultaneously practiced slavery, segregation, and widespread discrimination. That's a pretty glaring contradiction. But here's the crucial part, the fight. The relentless, courageous struggle by countless individuals and groups to make those founding ideals a reality for all. Think of the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s. Figures like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and so many others, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. They faced down violence, hatred, and systemic oppression, and they achieved monumental victories. The Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965. These weren't just laws, they were seismic shifts in American society, and the fight didn't stop there. The women's suffrage movement culminating in the right to vote. The ongoing struggle for LGBTQ+ rights leading to landmark Supreme Court decisions like marriage equality. The disability rights movement advocating for accessibility and inclusion. Each of these movements has pushed America, often kicking and screaming, closer to its stated ideals. It's a testament to the power of advocacy, persistence, and the unwavering belief that a more just society is possible. It shows that the system, however flawed, can be changed from within. Now, is the work done? Absolutely not. Not by a long shot. Racial injustice persists. Gender inequality is still a reality. New challenges to civil liberties emerge all the time. But the history of these struggles is a powerful part of the American narrative. It's a reminder that progress is possible, even in the face of immense obstacles. It's the story of people demanding that the nation live up to its own promises, and that, in itself, is a profoundly American act, an act of holding power accountable. Section 5, the American Welcome Mat Dreams and Realities. You know, America has long styled itself as a nation of immigrants, the melting pot they call it, or sometimes a salad bowl if you're feeling, well, particularly nuanced about your metaphors. The Statue of Liberty literally has a poem on it saying, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free." That's a powerful invitation, isn't it? And for generations, people from every corner of the globe have answered that call, seeking opportunity, refuge, or simply a new start. This influx of people, cultures, and ideas is undeniably a source of American strength and dynamism. These immigrants have built businesses, enriched communities, and contributed to every facet of American life. From science and the arts to sports and cuisine. Can you imagine American food without the contributions of Italian, Mexican, Chinese, or countless other immigrant groups? It would be a very bland, very beige experience. This constant infusion of new perspectives and talents has historically been a massive advantage for the United States, fostering innovation and a unique cultural vibrancy. It's part of what makes America, well, America. However, let's be honest, that welcome mat has often been pulled out from under people's feet, or it's had some very specific and often discriminatory conditions attached. Throughout its history, America has had periods of intense anti-immigrant sentiment, the Chinese Exclusion Act, the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II, more recently debates and policies around border security and who deserves to enter. The dream of America can look very different depending on where you're from, what you look like, or when you arrived. So, while the narrative of the welcoming immigrant nation is potent, the reality has always been more complex and at times, deeply exclusionary. The American dream for an immigrant can involve navigating a bewildering bureaucracy, facing prejudice, and working incredibly hard for a foothold. The promise is there, yes, but so are significant hurdles. It's a story of incredible resilience and contribution, but also one that highlights ongoing tensions about who truly belongs and what it means to become American. A story still very much in progress. Section 6. Mind the Gap, the Great American Divide. Okay, so we've seen some of the shiny parts. The innovation, the struggle for rights, the immigrant energy. Now let's talk about something less glamorous. Something that casts a long shadow over all those achievements: inequality. We're talking about the gap, the massive yawning chasm between the rich and everyone else. It's not just a gap, it's a canyon. And it seems to be getting wider every year. This is a serious problem, a fundamental challenge to that land of opportunity narrative. The statistics are pretty stark. A tiny percentage of the population holds a wildly disproportionate amount of the wealth. Meanwhile, many working families struggle to afford basic necessities: housing, healthcare, education. The idea that hard work alone guarantees success is looking increasingly shaky for a lot of people. Wages for many have stagnated for decades, even as productivity has soared. And the costs of essentials, they just keep going up. It's a recipe for frustration and a feeling that the system is rigged. This isn't just about money either. Inequality manifests in many ways. Access to quality education can depend heavily on your zip code. Your life expectancy can vary significantly based on your income and race. Opportunities are not evenly distributed. This creates a cycle where disadvantages can be passed down through generations, making that pull yourself up by your bootstraps advice sound a bit hollow if you can't even afford the boots, or if the ladder to opportunity is missing rungs specifically for you. This level of inequality isn't just bad for individuals, it's bad for the country as a whole. It can lead to social unrest, erode trust in institutions, and hinder economic growth. When a large segment of the population feels left behind, it creates deep divisions and resentment. It's a problem that America is grappling with, and one that doesn't have easy solutions. But ignoring it or pretending it's just the natural order of things isn't going to make it go away. It's a crack in the very foundation. Section 7, Red versus Blue Nation, the polarization problem. Speaking of divisions, let's talk about American politics. Oh boy, if you thought choosing a streaming service was hard, try navigating the American political landscape. It's become less of a debate and more of a shouting match. We're talking about political polarization. The idea that the country is increasingly divided into two entrenched camps, red, Republican, and blue, Democrat, that don't just disagree but often seem to inhabit entirely different realities. It's like everyone's wearing noise-canceling headphones that only play their own team's talking points. It wasn't always this extreme. There used to be more overlap, more moderates, more willingness to compromise. Now, compromise is often seen as a dirty word. Politicians on both sides seem more rewarded for inflaming their base than for finding common ground. News consumption has also become siloed, with people choosing media outlets that confirm their existing beliefs. This creates echo chambers where opposing views are rarely heard, or if they are, they're immediately dismissed as evil or stupid, or both. The consequences of this are pretty severe. Gridlock in government is common, making it incredibly difficult to address major national problems. Even issues that should have broad consensus can become partisan battlegrounds. Trust in government, in the media, and even in fellow citizens has eroded. It's harder to have a national conversation when everyone is screaming into their own megaphone, and it makes the country feel increasingly fractured, like two separate nations sharing a very uncomfortable living space. This isn't just about policy disagreements, it's about identity. Political affiliation has become a core part of how many Americans see themselves and others. This makes it even harder to bridge the divides. When your political opponents aren't just wrong, but are seen as a threat to your way of life, the stakes feel incredibly high. Finding a way to lower the temperature and foster constructive dialogue is one of the biggest challenges facing America today, because a house divided, as someone once famously said, cannot stand, or at least it wobbles precariously. Section 8, Doc, it hurts here, America's healthcare headache. Alright, let's talk about something that affects everyone. Literally everyone. Healthcare. Now, America has some of the most advanced medical technology in the world. Brilliant doctors, cutting-edge research, amazing hospitals. If you have a rare disease and a ton of money, America is probably the place you want to be. They can do incredible things, miraculous things even, that part is true. The innovation we talked about earlier, it's definitely present in American medicine, but here's the giant, throbbing, expensive asterisk. The American healthcare system is, to put it mildly, a mess. It's incredibly expensive, the most expensive in the world, by a long shot. Yet, outcomes for many common conditions aren't always better than in other wealthy countries that spend far less. Millions of Americans are uninsured or underinsured. A medical emergency can mean financial ruin for families. Medical debt is a leading cause of bankruptcy. Think about that. Getting sick can destroy your life savings. The system is a bewildering patchwork of private insurance, government programs like Medicare and Medicaid, and employer-based plans. Navigating it can feel like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while riding a unicycle on a tightrope. Billing is notoriously opaque. Surprise medical bills are a common nightmare. You go to an in-network hospital, but oops, the anesthesiologist who was on call that day was out of network. That'll be an extra $10,000, please. It's absurd. This isn't just an economic issue, it's a moral one. Should access to essential medical care depend so heavily on your employment status or your income? Many other developed nations have figured out systems that provide universal coverage at a much lower cost, but in America, healthcare remains a deeply contentious political issue, with powerful interests invested in maintaining the status quo. So, while America can perform medical miracles, it struggles with the basic task of ensuring everyone can afford to see a doctor when they're sick. And that's a pretty big headache. Section 9. Conclusion: America, a work in progress always. So America, land of dreams, land of nightmares? As we've seen, it's kind of both. It's a place of breathtaking innovation and infuriating inequality, a country that champions freedom while still grappling with the legacy of unfreedom for so many. It's home to incredible acts of generosity and solidarity, and also to deep, bitter divisions. It's a paradox wrapped in a contradiction, served with a side of fries, probably supersized. Because, America, the achievements are undeniable. The technological leaps, the expansion of civil rights, however incremental and hard-fought, the cultural dynamism fueled by generations of immigrants, these are real. These are things that have genuinely made the world, and America itself, better in many ways. There's a spirit of possibility here, a can-do attitude that at its best is truly inspiring. You can't discount that, you shouldn't. It's a vital part of the story. But the problems are just as real. The economic disparities that leave too many behind. The political polarization that tears at the fabric of society. A healthcare system that often feels designed to confuse and bankrupt rather than heal. These aren't minor glitches, they are fundamental challenges that question the very nature of the American promise. Ignoring them or pretending they'll just sort themselves out is a recipe for further trouble. And nobody needs more trouble. Ultimately, America isn't a finished product. It's a constant work in progress, an ongoing experiment. And like any experiment, it has its successes and its failures. The key is to be honest about both. To celebrate the good, yes, but also to confront the bad with open eyes and a willingness to do the hard work of making things better. Because the American story, with all its complexities and contradictions, is still being written, and its future depends on understanding that balance, which, let's be honest, is easier said than done. Especially today on May 24, 2025.